Hello and welcome to Sports This Morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Coming up on the program this morning, the Super Falcons of Nigeria lost by a lone goal to Jamaica in the U.S. Summer Series. The game was decided last night. Tobechko, he saved the penalty, but then Blackwood who missed the penalty, was able to score the winner for the Jamaicans. Also in the program, we'll be having a comprehensive preview of Euros 2020. It starts today. Turkey and Italy, we have the opener. Roberto Mancini has set a semi-final target for his team. And also, the Milwaukee Bucks were able to escape another loss because they had to produce a spectacular performance for them to be able to beat the Brooklyn Nets in Game 3. They had their backs on the wall, falling into 2-0 behind in the first two games, but now they had to win this. They responded on home court in Milwaukee, and they won by just about 3 points. But then that's a victory because that's what they needed to be able to stay in the game. Right now, the series is 2-1. And of course, that's where I will be starting the program from this morning, talking about the NBA results from that. And I will be joined by Kenny Bamidele from Ibadan, basketball analyst, to talk with me on this one. So when Kenny is ready, of course, we'll talk about the basketball. But before he's ready to join me on the program, let's just quickly take a look at confirmation of the results of what went down last night. 83-86, the Nets are losing to the Milwaukee Bucks 86 by 3 points, and now the Nets still lead the series 2-1, but the Bucks knew they needed to stay in the game, and that's how they were able to get this one. And for the result, we say it was a monster performance from Giannis Antetokounmpo and also from Chris Middleton. Then the other game on the night, Clippers and the Jazz, was also another close game, but the Jazz is leading that series by 2 games, and Donovan Mitchell again produced another monster performance because the top-seeded Jazz had to take down the Clippers in a commanding 2-0 lead in the Western Conference semi-finals. After going for 45 in the opener, I'm talking about Donovan Mitchell now, he posted another 37 points to lead the Jazz to that victory in Game 2. So Mitchell was also supported by fellow All-Star, newly crowned Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. He put up 13 points on the night and 20 rebounds, 3 blocks and 2 steals in Utah. So that was a spectacular performance from him. Mitchell is actually averaging 2.84 points in the playoffs career now, only behind LeBron James, who had 28. And of course, you have Jerry West, who had 29, Kevin Durant, who had 29, also Allen Iverson, who had 29, and of course, Michael Jordan, the big man of all, 33.4. That's what he was averaging during the playoffs. So Donovan Mitchell is in a very exclusive and a privileged list, you will say, this morning. Now, Kenny joins me now to talk more about this one. Kenny, good morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning to you, Cecilia. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I just read out the results of the game of what went down last night. Now, Kawhi Leonard tried his best to be able to get into it, but then it just wasn't to be. Reggie Jackson had a team best performance of 29 points on the night, 11 for 19 shooting. Chris Paul had 20. Paul George, PG, he had 27 points and 10 rebounds. Of course, Leonard had just 21 points. That's what he contributed. But the Jazz taking the lead 2-0 against the Clippers.
Yeah, no surprise about that one. Personally, okay. I'm not surprised that you guys are finding it real easy against the LA Clippers. We saw what the Clippers did against the Dallas Mavericks. If not for the god of basketball, or whatever you want to call it, they should have been out of the NBA playoffs. But, now they have the chance to face the best team in the Western Conference. Utah Jazz lost just 5 games in the entirety of the regular season at home. That says a lot about this team. I remember the coach for Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, heaping some plaudits, saying that this team looks like the Golden State Warriors of 2015, 2016. For Steve Kerr to have mentioned such statements, he would have at least seen some, qualities in this team. But that man, Donovan Mitchell, that guy is unstoppable at the moment, scoring 37 points. That is absolutely, fantastic. And apart from that, I think, there is more of team play coming from this Utah Jazz team. The likes of Jordan Clarkson, very good from shooting beyond the arc. A certain Rudy Gobert, fantastic defender. You remember he got the Defensive Player of the Year. I think that was yesterday. So a certain Donovan Mitchell scored 6 of 12 3-pointers attempted, and check out the list. Check how a certain Jordan Clarkson scored fared in terms of 3-pointers too. He
Yeah.
also did pretty well. So I think this team are a compact side. Offensively, they are superb. Defensively, they are also there. From the defense, you mentioned one man, the tall, guy. I'm talking about Rudy Gobert.
Rudy
Okay,
Gobert,
look
yeah.
at from the Donovan Mitchell suddenly turned that guy that can shoot from anywhere.
Anyway.
You know what the Clippers did? The game against Mavericks, they went small because they knew that was the best way to beat this Mavericks side. And going to this game, they started with going small, but they knew that cannot work. So it's certain if Zubac played from
Yeah.
the center, so that was the choice of the coach. I'm talking about Tan Lu. So but that did not work well because I saw them double teaming Donovan at some point, but
Yeah.
Donovan instead turned to a passer. I saw a pass he gave to a certain Rudy Gobert to get,
Yeah.
the dunk very close to the basket. So I think it's a deserved victory coming from Utah Jazz. For the LA Clippers, it's 2-0. This one is over, done and dusted. There is no
Okay.
comeback in this one.
That's so fast, 2-0, and it's over. Okay, I won't go that route. But then in the East, the Bucks needed this. They needed to stay in it. And now they were able to win last night. Yes, it was a very close game, but then they actually surrendered the 21 points lead at some point. I mean, then Joe Holiday had to go with that particular bucket that he put up 11.4 seconds remaining, and they were able to close in to stay in it to win a very, very tight game, just escaping by 3 points.
You know what, Cecilia?
Yeah.
Before this started, I tipped Milwaukee Bucks to win. After the
Okay.
first game, I was like, what have I done? Because I wasn't impressed with what I saw from the Bucks. I must confess. But this is kind of approach you need. I saw some swag in this Milwaukee Bucks side. I mean, I'm talking about this third game of the series, much improved. Chris Middleton and Giannis
Yes.
Antetokounmpo, they combined for 68 points, and that's 79% of the points recorded by Bucks in this game. This is what I want to see. Wake up. I mean, you can't give us game 1 and game 2 performance in game 3. You know that if you lose the third game and it's 3-0, it's all over. So I believe the Bucks, they knew what was at stake before this one, and they did the job. They have to thank their God too. They were leading 39 at some point, but the Brooklyn Nets kind of equaled the score line, and they were just lucky to have actually won that one 86-83. Big ups to Chris Middleton. I love these two a lot. I think Giannis just have to he's so lucky. He's got some great supporting cast. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, these guys are very good, and they have supported Giannis right from the start up until now. So if they really want to come up because I've seen debates of calling them big three, but I don't think it's a big three. It's a big one and a small. It's a big one and a small two.
Small two, yes, I agree with you.
One. That of Drew Holiday and a certain Chris at the small two, supporting Giannis alongside. A certain Brook Lopez had 6 blocks rather. Come on, defensively, solid one coming from a certain Brook Lopez. And I'm really impressed with the approach. I want Bucks to win, and I'm not taking that out already. So the next game, the fourth game of the series, will show if Bucks really want to win the series.
To win or not. And we also need a Chris Middleton to put up another monster performance, because that's the only way they can keep winning and also be aggressive. Now, let's just take the... Okay. Yeah, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
That's true. They need Chris to put up another monster performance, because if Giannis give you 39, 40, and Chris is giving you 19, 12, there is no way you will win. You need Chris and Drew to also follow up with 30 or 20. So they need him big time. That's the valid point coming from you, Cecilia.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Let's take the post-game reaction from both teams.
Like you said, Brooke did a great job with taking away a lot of layups, altering a lot of shots, making the change the path a little bit more on their shots and stuff like that. Drew, Tuck, they did an extremely great job of just trying to make everything tough for Katie and Kyrie, make them work for the catches, make them work to get to their spots. Those guys are great players. They're going to hit a lot of tough shots like they did tonight. But I think for the most part, they did an extremely well job of, just trying to make it tough on those guys. And, everybody else, Bobby, Bryn, Pat, everybody just battled. Try to do everything for us.
Win is a win. Win is a win. And at the end of the day, as I said last game, lose by 40, lose by 1, it's still the same thing. It's still a loss. And today we didn't score a lot. It didn't look as pretty, but at the end of the day, we got a win, and that's why we came and showed up tonight. We knew it was a very, very tough game, and we knew that we needed this game as much as possible. And hopefully we can get the next one. But at the end of the day, win is a win. It doesn't matter if you win by 30. It doesn't matter if you win by 1. If you can go back home and celebrate W, it feels good.
I wouldn't blame it on that. I just think we didn't make shots down the stretch. I mean, we made a couple, but I think we got some good looks. I think we rushed a couple opportunities there. But I like how we clawed back into the game, but I hate how we even started off that way. So I wish we'd have made a couple more plays down the stretch, but that was a tough one.
Shoot, man, they did what they were supposed to do. Come out aggressive, backs against the wall, sort of say, and we had to weather that storm. So, definitely kind of put us on our heels for the rest of the game and just playing catch up, playing their style of basketball, and then they made some big timely shots, which carried them forward. But we had our chances down the stretch. It was a possession by possession game. Both teams battling. So that's a good old fashioned playoff game right there.
All right, just you listen to them, just wasn't enough, especially that buzzer beating a 3-point attempt by Kevin Durant that could have tied the game, but it just didn't get into the rim. Now, let's take a look at the top performers on the night from both teams. Of course, we have Donovan Mitchell, wrapping up everything, 37 points on the night, 3 and 4, and he scored 45 in the other game he played in game 1. And moving on to KD, he was on the losing side. This just wasn't enough to pull the team off. Yes, James Harden is still injured, but then this was in 30, 11, and 5. And of course, we have, Chris Middleton. That was a muster one, 35, 15, and 1 from him. And of course, on the other side, we have Paul George, who had 27, 19, and 6 for his team, but it wasn't enough for the Clippers to beat the Utah Jazz. And of course, the last one on the that's what we have. Giannis Antetokounmpo should have made this one because he had 33 points on the night and 14 rebounds, but I had to choose between Giannis and, of course, Chris Middleton, who doesn't make at the top performance list most of the time. Kenny, overall, tonight we're going to be having 76ers at Hawks. It's tied 1-1 apiece. What should we be expecting from the 76ers? Can they go ahead and Joel Embiid missing out on the MVP? He wasn't really too happy about that. He was disappointed. But then he had to tell everyone how good he was, putting up 14 points in the night. But tonight against the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young, of course, still another player who just know how to put up 50, 40-plus points on the night.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for both teams, going by what happened in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks won the first game of this series, then that's 1-0. Big ups to Trae Young for putting up some superb shooting performance, and Bogdanovic for supporting him alongside. And now Joel Embiid is playing on a torn meniscus, and this guy is class. I can't imagine a player playing with that kind of injury and giving us performance like this. Well, we here from Nigeria, Africa, most especially, we are proud of him big time. And I see Joel waking up again against the Hawks. They are going to the State Farm Arena, that is, the Atlanta Hawks Stadium. And you know what Trae Young used to do? He say, next up, you come to the A, and that's our home. We actually have that advantage. But this time, I feel the Hawks should be scared right now, because what the coach did in that second game was to put Ben Simmons on Trae Young. And Trae Young only managed 21 points. Ben Simmons was part of the top 3 defenders listed of the season, but it was given to Gobert. We all know about that one. So it means that the coach now knows that, okay, with Ben Simmons on Trae, we are rest assured that, Trae effectiveness up front is going to be reduced. So that one is no problem. Take Trae, reduce the effect of Trae, then you beat Atlanta Hawks. No doubt, Trae Young is a special player, a special dude. I've been monitoring him right from his early stages with Atlanta. So, he's one player you always want to see play football.
Okay.
It's at least not a bad one for Atlanta Hawks, because before the season started, not many would have fancied them to get to the semis, the conference semis. But the Philadelphia 76ers, part of the big guns. One thing about the sport, it's always unpredictable. If Sixers would win, don't be surprised if Atlanta Hawks top. But I think, Sixers will come out on top of this one. Joel Embiid, lights of Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons should be able to get the job done against the Hawks.
We'll see what's going to happen tonight. Thank you so much, Kenny Bamidele, for joining me this morning.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Cecilia. Thanks for having me this morning.
All right. Just enjoy the moment and see, being in our first Grand Slam final, we'll also give her a first Grand Slam. All right, we'll leave tennis now and quickly we'll come home to Nigeria Professional Football League, and also talk about the Super Falcons. But I will not be doing all this alone. I have a guest that will be joining me, Fisayo Dairo, all the way from Port Harcourt. He's a chief writer with aclsports.com. Fisayo, it's good to have you join me this morning.
Very good morning to you, Sisi. It's my pleasure to join you.
Okay, we'll start with, of course, with the handball. Yes, I mean handball. What happened to the African Women Handball Championship that is currently going on in Cameroon? Of course, the Nigeria team lost their second game. In the first half, it was 14-13, and of course, they ended up losing that one. I mean, when you look at what happened in the first game, which they lost woefully, another one again, they lost to DR Congo 16-35. And of course, you have Cameroon 31-19, and the other game they will be playing, the last game they will be playing on Saturday is against Kenya. But then for the girls, well, we'll see if they will be able to win their last one. But then, Fisayo, the reason I have you this morning is, of course, we're talking about the NPFL, the Nigeria Professional Football League. Start from what happened yesterday. Aqua United, they are back on top of the table by virtue of what they did. And, of course, if you look at the table right now, it's looking pretty. But then let's take a look at the fixtures for this weekend. What's going to happen this weekend? You have the game, we'll start with the results from match day 26. MFM and Abia Warriors ended goalless in Lagos. Aqua United and Heartland, it was 3-1. So by virtue of that, Aqua United are back to the top of the table. 49 points they have, and a goal difference of 18. Of course, Kano Pillars remains second. Now, for the games this weekend, Nasarawa United and Plateau will be in action. Katsina and Eyimba, Adamawa and Rivers, Kano Pillars and Aqua United. That's another game. A big game to look forward to because 1 and 2, Wiki Tourists and Ifeanyiba, Abia Warriors and Lobby Stars, Rangers International and Sunshine Stars, Warrior Wolves and Dakada FC. Okay, for you, Fisayo, which one will get you talking? I know number 1 and number 2, of course, is a big game to look forward to.
Absolutely. The game at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna promises to be a thriller because these are the top 2 teams in the division. Just on Wednesday, Kano Pillars had their 10-match unbeaten run snapped by Rivers United here in Port Harcourt. But for Aqua United, they are 16-game unbeaten, and that's a record in Nigeria Professional Football League. Right from 1990, no team has gone 16 games straight unbeaten in a single season, and that's what Aqua United are doing under Kennedy Boboye. So it promises to be a very thrilling one. Just last Sunday, if you remember, Kano Pillars defeated Eyimba in Kaduna. And now it's the turn of Aqua United to go to Kaduna to smell the firepower of the Pillars side. These 2 teams have something in common. They really want to win the league. For Pillars, they've not won the league since 2014. It's been a long time coming for Sei Mesugida, who won the league like 3 times back-to-back from 2012 to that 2014. Yeah. And for Aqua United, they have never won the league. That's their holy grail. They've won the cup twice in 2015 and 2017. But nothing can quantify the joy of winning a 38-match season in the top flight. So with Boboye, a former league winner at Plateau United, that's what they are trying to do. They've shown incredible consistency, and despite losing one of their top stars in the Frike Effiong mid-season to a Libyan club, Charles Hashimene, for instance, has come to the party. He has 9 goals to his credit, scored twice yesterday. Yeah. Definitely, that's going to be a big game on Sunday.
Outside that, which one will also get you talking? I mean, we know.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Okay, Abia Warriors against
yes.
Stars. Yes, it also catches my fancy because, I remember the reverse fixture at the Aparaku Stadium in Makurdi. Had Abia Warriors lost that game, Imam Amapakabo would have been sacked. Yes. But they pulled off a shock goalless draw right there, a dogged performance. And now Abia Warriors, again, have gone 5 matches winless. All 5 games ended in draws.
True.
Which culminated in that 0-0 draw with MFM yesterday in Lagos. Now they know they have to return to winning ways. Lobby Stars are not doing badly. Just on Wednesday, they won their home game as well. And just on Sunday, they went away to Dakada FC. So it's certainly going to be an interesting one. Remember, Amakpakaba knows that it can no longer afford any more draws. That's what draws do to football clubs. If you drew 5 games in a row, that's 5 points. If you had lost 2 and won 3, that's 9 points.
That's
So
the difference.
Abia Warriors will be hoping to get home comfort in Okigwe and win that one. Definitely the second game to watch out for this weekend.
Yeah, Plateau United and Nasarawa United. That's going to be another one because Plateau United, right now they learn how to win away from home. It seems that what happened at the beginning of the season, they've been able to put it behind. Against Nasarawa United, they're going away from home. Abdul Makaba has been talking about how they've been able to rediscover the form that they have. What's going to happen in that one? Can they pull up another win away from home?
And more remarkably as well, it's a North Central derby. And the way derby games go, you can never tell where the biscuit will break. And like you rightly mentioned, Plateau United seem to be gradually coming into form. Mohamed Rabiu Zukifilu is one of the top scorers in the league now with 10 goals. Ibrahim Mustafa has also weighed in with his fair share of goals. Plateau United now have won 3 games in a row. 2 games in a row, but 3 games unbeaten after that draw against Kano Pillars. Now against Nasarawa United, who are third on the table. They are also in an imperious form at the moment, the Balaniku-led side. And like I mentioned, it's a derby. It's going to be very, very feisty. It's going to be very competitive. I remember the reverse fixture. It was live on NPFL TV. Plateau United won by a lone goal at the new Zaria Stadium in Jos. Of course, it was that man, Zukifilu, that scored the only goal header. Now in Lafia, we saw the game between Nasarawa United and Warri Wolves on Wednesday.
Yes.
Nasarawa took them to the cleaners, 3-1.
3-1.
They are a team on form. And in the NPFL, when a team is in the top 3 or top 4 with just 12 matches left, they want to fancy their chances of hanging on to that spot and finishing in continental places. That is Nasarawa United's mentality at the moment. And for Plateau United, who also want to return to the continent, having played in the Champions League and Confederation Cup in 2018, that is certainly going to be a competitive fixture at the Lafia Township Stadium.
Okay, and of course, Nasarawa United, they're third. Hopefully they can pull that off and maybe climb on the table. Okay, let's leave Nigeria Professional Football League and quickly touch down on what happened to the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Last night they played against Jamaica. It was late into the night. The game finished at almost past 12 this morning. We had to stay awake to watch the full 90 minutes. First half, it was a bit uneventful, goalless, but then the girls somehow were able to bounce back in the second half, played their game, but somehow they conceded a goal, and that was it. Now, the result from the Women's Summer Series taking place in the U.S., the Falcons losing to Jamaica by a lone goal. And that they have them, the way they fight out, we didn't have a complement of most of the players because the coach had to make do with what it's got. Likes of Sato Shola, likes of Onomebi, Ngozi Okobi were nowhere to be found. But he was able to use the girls he had in camp. Once immediately we saw the starting lineup, where you have Oluwatosin, Dimehi, Onyinyechi Zog, Rosa Ario, Vivian Ikechukwu, who happens to play for Rivers Angels, all of them making their debut. It was not the vintage Falcons that we know, but he was able to bring in some new players, some of them born in the U.S., some that have even played for the U.S. under 19 team. But these girls, the first half, it wasn't okay, but second half, kind of gradually they grew into the game, and it ended 1-0. They just couldn't keep up with the Jamaicans, who were more pacey and more aggressive on the night, because most of the Jamaican ladies plays for Houston Dash right there in the US, so it was easier for them to have that cohesion compared to the Falcons, who have players from across the world coming together in less than 3 days or 2 days to play a summer series like this. Yeah,
I could easily come here and lash out at the Super Falcons because what we saw in the early hours of today was really uninspiring. But I could really afford to cut them some slack because when you look at the circumstances in which they got themselves there, they arrived in the States just 2 days ago. A lot of players even arrived on the eve of the game, including goalkeeper Tochukwu Odwe, who was Nigeria's best player on the day. So when you look at it, you just face the positives. The resilience of the girls in the second half. We all agree that they were remarkably better in the second half, and they hit the crossbar through Michelle Alozie, one of the girls we were talking about. they were born, and they've been playing across universities in the United States. She's actually a centre forward, but she came on to play as a right back and still gave the best to our motherland, so to say now. Now, and aside that, we also had the number 5 shirts player, that's Ijoma Okoronkwo, who also came on to play at the left wing position, and even had a goal chalked up for offside. And I think overall, we just have to be grateful that at least we've gotten the first game behind us. The girls showed that they really wanted to fight for the green, white, green jersey, because if they had repeated the kind of performance they had in the first half, they could have lost the game as much as 3-4 goals because they were all over the places in the first half. Thanks to Oluwayi, who saved the penalty, saved like 2 one-on-one attempts. But in the second half, the team probed on their own, and we must also not forget to give worthy mentions to some of the players that weathered the difficult circumstances and gave a good account of themselves, likes of Tony Payne, Sevilla. I've mentioned those 2 young girls who are in the university in the United States, Alozie and Okoronkwo. And of course, also not forgetting Zog, who is based in Onyechi Zog, who is based in Switzerland. And Oluwatosin Demain did well as well for a player coming from the local league before she bowed out to cramps and she was substituted. And we mentioned Dr. Chukwuole as well. So I think that for the coach, it will just be hoping and waiting patiently for Sunday's game against Portugal. The Portuguese will not come easy as well. I slept off at halftime and I knew they were playing goalless against United States. Don't know the final scores by now, but I think the girls will have settled down more appropriately. They have 3 days to prepare ahead of that, and I'm looking forward to a better performance from them.
Obviously. Of course, let's listen to Tobechukwu Oluwayi talking about her performance on the day, and of course, some new players who joined them for the first time.
I don't know what to say. I wanted to blame myself. I don't know. Well, when a goalkeeper did everything she can do possible and, be at her best, just a silly goal, we just come and, mess everything up. I wasn't happy for the goal, but I tried, I did my best. I would give them like 50%. They did well because they are just new in the team. So with time, gradually, they will be there. Like today's game now, we've seen we've seen the game. We'll have to go back home and correct where we made the mistake and pick up to the second game to make sure we win Portugal.
And for the coach, what does he feel about it? Let's listen to him.
I was really proud of the second half performance. I felt like we showed a lot of fight and a lot of heart in the second half. So second half was much better. I was more pleased. The first half was too slow, disorganized. It's not like the way we want to play. And so we've got to learn next time when we come out on the field, we start from the beginning, not from the half. So there's some positives to take away. And again, a lot of new players that we haven't seen. So it was a good opportunity to see some of those players.
Yeah, Fisayo, the coach, literally heard what you said. Or maybe you heard what he said before now, because more opportunities to look at what the girls is going to come up with against Portugal before we will face the host country. Talking about the US, who is actually using this one to prepare for their Olympics. Of course, Super Falcons could not qualify for the Olympic Games. Let's leave the Super Falcons now and quickly go to Europe, where the 2020 European Championships starts today, and Roberto Mancini has set a target for himself, at least a semi-final. Now, the Italians have been... I'm trying to look for an adjective now to describe how ruthless they've been since failing to go to the World Cup. After they missed out on the World Cup, they've gone 25 games unbeaten, with Roberto Mancini coming in, just literally turning the team around. But the Italian teams, they will be up against Turkey today for the opening game. And this semi-final target, is it realistic, or is just been talking? It's just talking as a coach. Yes, the fixture for today, Turkey and Italy, is what is opening the Group A in the Europe Championships.
Unbeaten run stretch, and of course, if you are a manager and your team have done quite very well in recent times, you have every sense to be optimistic, and it is Italy. We are talking about Italy here. They are a powerhouse in European football and world football at large. So a manager must be positive. And for Roberto Mancini, I respect him a lot right from when he won the league with Manchester City in England. You know, many felt it was because of the money, but no. But he's an astute tactician, and he has proved it. And like you mentioned, 25 games unbeaten, he has every right to dream. And starting from today's game against a revamped Turkish side, who I believe have tried to reshape themselves over the years, I think Italy have a good chance. But for me, a 24-nation tournament is not always easy. It is going to be strange to Europeans. It's the first time they're doing the 24. Now they go, instead of going directly to quarterfinals, they go through to the second round first, which means there are possibilities of top footballing nations meeting themselves in the second round, not even the quarters or semis. So it's going to be difficult, but Italy have all the wherewithal. They have the likes of Lorenzo Insigne, they have the likes of Ciro Immobile, you know, they have good players, stop playing for the top leagues all around. Jorginho, he has been a worthy register for them. And like I mentioned earlier on, Mancini has every right to dream big, and semi-final is not too big a target for me.
Okay, interesting one. But we need to go on a break now. Fisai, you're still with me on the program. But after the break, we'll be talking about how the European Championship that will be staged in 10 different countries, how police will be able to see how they can, you know, help with security issues, especially in this era of pandemic. Fisai is still here with me now. Talking about Group A, the other game that will be taking place on Saturday, Wales and Switzerland. Well, the Welsh seems to be a team that is rising now because of, you know, what they did at the World Cup. But for Switzerland, they're so unpredictable. For you, Fisayo, which way would this particular game go?
Well, I'd be tempted to give it to the Welsh because, just like you mentioned, they're a team on the rise. They are a bunch of young players, maybe with the exception of the old guns, Bill and Ramsey, but they look hungry on paper. And for the Swiss, they rely on Shaqiri, Granit Xhaka here and there. But Wales have impressed me in recent years, starting from the last Euros as well, when they went on a mazy run-up to the quarter-final stage of the competition. And I think they will want to leverage on that. And they know that they want to start on a good note. And like I mentioned tacitly earlier on, the fact that this is a 24-team tournament means that every small team will fancy their chance of progress. It means that up to 3 teams can advance in a group. So in a group in a group that has Italy, Turkey, Wales, and Switzerland, the Welsh can believe that, okay, let's say that Italy is superior than all of us. The rest, we should be head to head. We should fancy our chances of progress. And I think that will define their opening game when they come up against the Swiss tomorrow.
And we'll see what's going to happen about that, especially when they made it all the way to the semi-final in the UEFA Euro 2016. Okay, Afisa, I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope we can actually do this again.
The pleasure is mine, Cecilia.
You have a fantastic weekend. All right, I mentioned earlier how policemen would try as much as possible to cope with what's going on because having to stage the Euro Championships across 10 countries is going to be a whole lot of security threats among all of them. So they're trying as much as possible to streamline intelligence on potential threats that may happen during the tournament. Let's just take a listen to Europol, what they're trying to do to ensure that everyone coming for the games, the players everywhere, is actually safe.
The current Euro 2020 Championship is of an unprecedented complexity. It is the first ever championship organized by 10 different countries, instead of only 1 or 2 as we had seen in past editions. It is also the first large-scale event organized during the COVID-19 pandemic related to sports. And all this, of course, presents important security challenges.
The COVID rules that we have, we expect not so high number of supporters at all. So I think the number of hooligans will be limited as well. But still, it's very difficult for us because of the COVID rules. Most of them will travel by car. And there will be a lot of more movements if it's about traveling because of the fact that we play in several countries.
Maybe it's not the same, but we have to ensure, let's say, a mixed approach of the 2 issues, the COVID-19 and the public order issues that are represented by the hooliganism. On top of that, the serious and organized crime. What was mentioned during the press conference, cyber attacks, and other issues that are related to the tournament. You can see it is a very complex mission, and I'm really happy to see that everybody is on board as regards football policing, Europol, Interpol, the NFIP network, and all the law enforcement agencies across Europe.
It's going to be a difficult one, but the opening ceremony, of course, is going to be, the first game is going to be in Rome tonight. And that's how the Euros are starting. So they're trying as much as possible to see how everyone will be safe. Both cyber attack, whatever kind of attack that is coming in, even as much as having a counterfeit of the COVID-19 health certificates that fans need to enter the stadium. They also want to see how they can counter that so that they don't have any fake results for the fans that are coming into the stadium. Okay, the story on Paul Pogba has to do with the fact that he says there's no concrete offer from Manchester United. It simply means you're having this, maybe he's on his way out of United. Remember earlier this year or late last year where the agent had to talk about the fact that he's not really happy at Old Trafford, of course. He wants to play for a team that can win trophies. And United haven't been able to win any trophy at all since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took charge of the team. So with this recent issues that's happening and the fact that United could not win the Europa League, which they were expected to leave, they're actually favourite to win it. But Unai Emery, who happens to be a specialist, beat them to it, having coached Villarreal for them to be able to win that. So Paul Pogba may just be a way out of United because he has come out to say that he does not have any concrete offers on ground for United. So they've not really sat down to talk about any contract or anything. I mean, he's with Team France for the Euros. Okay, before I leave the studio, just take a look at the papers and what it has for us today. I'll start with Sporting Sun. In Sporting Sun here, you have a CR7, N'Golo Kante, De Bruyne, others raise dust in Europe. What does this mean? Okay, you find that on Sporting Sun. That's the paper I'm looking at right now, Sporting Sun. And of course, Ganedro reveals a venue of the World Cup qualifiers against Liberia. You find details of that also and Sporting Sun. And Gundogan delays a Manchester City deal. I think there's a rumor going on that he's one of those players that may just leave Manchester City this summer. And Inter Miami is actually keen on Messi. That's an interesting one. That's the US MLS. Is Messi's going to go to MLS? All right. Big question there. All right, move over to the next one, which is Sporting Live this morning. Sporting Live here. Okay, Ronaldo warns Portugal's opponents. That's their friendly that they played where Fernandes has scored 2 goals in that one. And Spain's 20-man squad tested negative for COVID-19. That's a good one for them after their captain, Busquets, actually tested positive for COVID-19. So the 26-man squad that they have right now tested negative. So all is fine from the Spanish camp. And, okay, Fulham goal of the season. Ola Aina beat Lookman to this. And for others to win, he was able to get that goal of the season for Fulham. Fulham is a relegation championship side. We'll see what they can offer in championship, see how they can get back quickly to the Premiership. Onana back in action in November. He was actually banned for testing positive for banned substance for over a year, but he will be back. It was cut from 1 year to 9 months. So Onana will be back in action November this year after that incident that happened to him. You still have the story on Paul Pogba here. New deal is open to talk with United, but then he said there's no concrete offer yet. And PSG confirms signing Wijnaldum until 2024. I mean, the story was the fact that he wants to go to Barcelona for free, but there's a story coming out right here which says that he will be joining PSG. PSG confirmed that they've signed him until 2024. And Chelsea, Manchester United, both interested in Coman. Okay, is he going to leave Bayern Munich? We'll see. Neymar blocks Mbappe's PSG exit. The story that Real Madrid wants him, but with Neymar still at PSG, okay, the story that he's actually blocking it might just be maybe true. Adelakun says FIFA has not cleared Lookman and Ejaria. You had the story on the front pages of newspaper yesterday, but then Adelakun happens to be the agent for the Super Eagles, says FIFA hasn't cleared that. So where's that story coming from? We can't really tell. And the last one this morning happens to be Complete Sports. And Complete Sports, you have Olympiacos give Onyekuru weekend ultimatum to make transfer decision. Where will Onyekuru go this season? Or for next season, we really can't tell. But then he's been given that ultimatum to make his decision, whatever is going to happen. And for 2020 and 2021 season scorecard of Nigerian players in Spain and the best of Europe and Asia, you'll find that in a Complete Sports. And also, who wins Europe? Is it going to be Roberto Mancini, who is targeting semi-final? He wants to get a step further. Details of it is also on Complete Sport. And Lionel thanks Fulham fans after winning club goal of the season. And Eagles could lose Ulisse to Algeria. Okay, there's another one from Complete Sport. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a fantastic weekend.